Today, we're going to talk about an artifact so advanced, so completely out of place in history that it basically forces us to rethink everything we thought we knew about the ancient world. We're diving into the Antikythera Mechanism, a device that, by all accounts, simply shouldn't exist.
So, to really get why this thing is so nuts, you have to picture the time period. We're talking about the Hellenistic period. This was a golden age for ancient Greece, the time of Alexander the Great, of Archimedes. It was an era of mind-blowing achievements in philosophy, art, and mathematics. But it was not what you'd call an age of high technology, not even close. And yet, this thing was there. It's an artifact so far ahead of its time that it creates this huge, baffling hole in the timeline of technological progress. I mean, just look at this timeline. It really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? The mechanism, with all its complex gears, was made around 70 BCE. The next time we see anything that's even in the same ballpark, mechanically speaking, is with the first big astronomical clocks in Europe, and that's over 1,300 years later. It's a total anomaly.
So what is this impossible object? Well, it's the world's first known analog computer, a gear-driven, incredibly sophisticated astronomical calculator from more than 2,000 years ago, built to model the entire cosmos.
And the story of how we even found this machine is almost as incredible as the machine itself. For 2 millennia, its secrets were just lost, lying at the bottom of the sea. Okay, so picture this. It's 1901, and a group of sponge divers accidentally discover an ancient Roman shipwreck. It's full of treasure, statues, pottery, all sorts of amazing stuff. And amidst all of that, they pull up this green, corroded, unassuming lump of bronze. For a while, everyone just thought it was another piece of junk from the wreck. But a year later, an archaeologist, Valerios Stais, was looking at it and noticed something amazing. He could just barely make out the outline of gear teeth. He came up with this wild idea that maybe it was some kind of ancient machine, like an astronomical clock. Of course, he was pretty much dismissed for decades. Everyone thought, no way, no civilization back then could possibly make something this complex. For almost 100 years, the mechanism just sat there, a total puzzle, with all its secrets trapped inside a cage of corrosion. It wasn't until the 21st century that our technology finally caught up and gave us a way to peek inside without actually destroying it. So, how do you study something you can't even touch? That was the exact problem a team of scientists faced in 2005. The 82 pieces that were left were way too fragile to mess with. So, what was their solution? They brought a custom-built 8-ton 3D X-ray scanner right into the museum in Athens. And those scans, they let them see right through all the corrosion and revealed a hidden universe inside. And what they found was absolutely mind-blowing. The X-rays showed this incredibly complex system of over 30 interlocking bronze gears. The craftsmanship was so precise, so unbelievably sophisticated, that researchers have compared it to the work of 18th century Swiss clockmakers. Just think about that. Okay, so we've seen the gears, but what did this incredible machine actually do? Well, the scans didn't just show gears, they also uncovered thousands of characters of hidden text. It was basically a user's manual, etched right onto the device itself. And let me tell you, this was no simple calendar. This was a full-on astronomical computer. It tracked the sun and the moon, it had pointers for the 5 planets they knew about back then, and it even accounted for the moon's weird variable speed. But the most amazing part? It could predict solar and lunar eclipses and even give a hint about what color they might be. What's so incredible is that its predictions were built on really advanced astronomical knowledge. For instance, it used something called the Saros cycle. That's a period of about 18 years that Babylonian astronomers had figured out to predict when eclipses would happen. This thing was this brilliant fusion of Greek geometry and Babylonian arithmetic. So this all sounds a little too good to be true, right? And that brings up a really big question. Was this thing a perfectly working masterpiece? Or was it more of an ambitious, but maybe flawed, proof of concept? This is where the debate gets really interesting. On one hand, you've got these detailed inscriptions that make it pretty clear it was meant to be a functional tool. But on the other hand, some modern engineering simulations suggest that the hand-filed triangular gear teeth could have jammed up, making it more of a fancy display piece than a reliable calculator. But that idea of it being a working masterpiece, it's got some powerful backup from history. The Roman writer Cicero, writing just a few decades after the mechanism was lost, described a very similar device. And he said it was built by the legendary genius Archimedes himself, who he said had figured out how to model all the complex motions of the heavens in a single machine.
So whether it was a perfect tool or a slightly flawed one, the fact that the Antikythera mechanism even exists has just staggering implications for how we understand the past.
And this really gets to the heart of it. Technology this complex doesn't just pop into existence out of nowhere. It couldn't have been some lone inventor's weekend project. It really, really suggests that there was a whole tradition of advanced mechanical engineering, an entire school of knowledge that has been completely lost to us. And that leaves us with one last kind of mind-bending thought. The Antikythera mechanism survived purely by chance, right? A lucky accident of a shipwreck. It just makes you wonder, if this is the one that we happened to find, what other mechanical wonders, what other impossible artifacts are still out there, buried under the sand or lost in the deep, just waiting to rewrite history all over again?